Sa mga nangapi sa akin, kaya ko kayong patawarin at pinapatawad ko na kayo. Sa mga nang-api sa sambayanan, wala akong karapatan na limutin ang inyong mga kasalanan. To those who are talking about reconciliation, if they mean that they would like us to simply forget about the wrongs that they have committed in the past, we have this to say. There can be no reconciliation without justice. Walang lamangan, walang patrino at walang pagnanakaw. Walang wangwang, walang counterflow, walang tong.
With people, politics, and power. One, it is important that stability should be established in the first 100 days. That's according to, political experts. And just looking at 3 weeks of the president having appointed men in the cabinet who will provide, who will be his alter ego on a number of issues and concerns. And looking at the preparations for the SONA, ano ka talaga yung dapat bigyan ng pansin ng ating Pangulo na dapat malaman ng ating mga kababayan na dapat ma-actionan agad?
Well, actually, nagawa niya na yung mga pinaka-importanting appointments. For one, yung sa justice system, Secretary de Lima, si former Chief Justice Davide. Ito yung mag-game body ng anti-corruption trust niya. Nagkaroon na rin ng appointment sa economic team niya. So that's also a good one. Yung binubuo niya ngayon yung sa military, mukhang may patapos na rin. And then itong sa media, the communications, the messaging. Ako tingin ko, parang so far so good, tawag dyan. Merong mga questions sa mga specific people. Kasi mukhang may element ng political accommodation yung appointments.
That's a perception.
That's a perception.
From certain sectors, but not necessarily the case.
It may not be. The point is, ang tingin ko dyan, he made sure na yung competency di ma-question. And I think that's good kasi sa simula pa lang, hindi na bali yung may question na may checkered past or whatever. Kasi question of trust yan Sa kanya yung tawag dito, sa kanyang court yung bola doon. Pero kung hindi competent yung tao, limitaw talaga yun. At magkakaproblema doon sa department na hawakan.
Some of the question about the fight against graft and corruption, and knowing that you've appointed Secretary de Lima and then former Chief Justice Hilario Davide, is the perception is, who will be the first casualty of the fight against graft and corruption? And well, the assumption is you know who, but should that be the case, or should it be applied to all?
Well, hindi tingin ko necessarily meron ka specific target in mind. It's more, ano ba yung kaso? Kaya lang tayo nagkaisip na mukhang there's somebody at the other end. Kasi, well-known yung mga kaso. At naging part siya ng campaign na yung panawagan na i-close na yung chapter dyan. Kailangan gawin. Kasi hindi na-close yun sa previous administration.
So would you say it's more than just justice, but closure for the country to know exactly what happened from the past administration in relation to a number of scandals related to the NBN City deal, and now you have the fertilizer scam, and even the results of the election?
Well, yes. Usually the concept of a truth commission is not prosecution. It's to tell the truth. Nang sa ganun, makita ng mga tao, ano ba talaga nangyari? And then they can accept the logical consequence ng truth na yan. Hindi siya prosecutory. In fact, ang sinasabi ni Presidente, it's still the Ombudsman who will do the prosecution. Kaya nga, they want this truth commission para lumabas yung ebidensya. At dapat matibay yung ebidensya. Ako tingin ko tama yung ganung view. wag magkaroon ng isip na parang persecution in the first place, yung context ng buong yan. Although, siyempre, sa level ng mga tao, iba pa yung usapin, how the people perceive.
No, the economy is so important. We've seen that ever since President Aquino assumed power, we've seen a, well, I mean, there was a second look at the economic projections, and even the IMF only today or yesterday said that the economy will grow from 4.5 to something like 5.5. But still, it all boils down to managing your deficit. Taxes. Is it something that the President should, should really consider, or maintain his position in the State of the Nation address?
I think the SONA will give an emphasis on the economic side, particularly on the budget side. Kung makita mo yung mga recent na mga actions niya, like yung the first case was in BIR. The BIR filed a case against Villarica. Yun makita mo yung mga priorities. It's actually to make sure that the government has enough money. Kaya hindi ko masusurprise sa SONA niya baka yun yung emphasize.
And during the campaign, there was great emphasis on putting more focus on agriculture also. Kasi alam naman natin si President Noynoy ay meron ding experience sa agriculture dahil may hacienda nga sila, no? So yung agriculture side, kailangan din natin yun. Some people, like Ibon Foundation is saying na kailangan medyo huwag tayong matali dun sa mga dating mga policies ng gobyerno na masyadong open sa globalization. Kasi for example, mag-focus din tayo sa mga farmers natin, no? Medyo yung Filipino farmers first siguro. Sana gawin niya rin yun. And yun yung kasing pinangako niya nung campaign.
No, in terms of agriculture, the new agriculture secretary, Secretary Alcala was saying, maybe in 3 years we're going to stop importation, but then population is something that you have to deal with also. Sa tingin mo ba yung commitment na yun ng agriculture secretary is a result of what the president thinks can be done if more or sufficient resources are poured into agriculture?
I cannot go into detail. Siguro may mga pinag-aaralan ako na bagay-bagay kasi may narinig ako na yung meron ding corruption dito sa agriculture. Yung mga rice yung rice stocks, no? So pagka again connected dun sa anti-corruption drive, pagka nawala yun, maaaring magkinabang na yung ating mga farmers.
Now, looking at Mindanao, marami na yung mga opportunities na parang naiwanan. Is it a result of the failure of the national government to keep up with its commitments, or the failure of the local leaders to keep up with what the national government really has planned for Mindanao?
It has to be. I believe it's both. First and foremost, like we were given a chance to handle administer 5 provinces and 1 city through the autonomous region in Eastern Mindanao. That's actually, the signing of the peace agreement actually gave us an avenue to raise funding because many international non-government organizations pour in the resources. But at the same time, the government has to take charge because they had to hold people accountable. Like they would say there's an issue of graft and corruption in the local government. The government has to make these people accountable. Kailangan nilang, it's the way although they would say that the graft and corruption is committed by the LGU or engrossed by the LGU, but the government has to make a statement like, okay, we need to prosecute those people who steal the government's money.
We've always been looking for the big fish to be prosecuted, and just looking at where this president is coming from, saying that the fight is against corruption.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that our people in Mindanao would readily accept, knowing that it cannot be business as usual as in the past, diba?
I would like to propose, many organizations would like to propose a community building strategy wherein one way of making people responsible, both the LGU and the national government, is to empower the local communities. And that would mean, number one, putting investment and capital to small size and medium size enterprise. Second, empower these local communities by making them a stakeholder. If we develop, I would believe, and I really believe in this strategy, it works in many nations, that if we empower the middle class and the lower class communities, they would have a say to prosecute who's responsible.
When you talk about empowering the people in Mindanao, especially in ARM, You know, that was started by the mother of the president in 1991 when the 4 provinces of the arm were created, and now you have 5 provinces. But you ask yourself, so much money has been poured, and yet poverty continues to reign there, and the peace and order problem is still, existent. How would you want this president to deal with a situation like that has been given so much opportunity in the past?
The implementation of law and order is very important. Sure, a lot of money has been poured in, but it's the same for other areas. It's not just, it just so happened that in the arm, there's another layer that was put in.
What is that layer?
The regional government. The regional government that, it is another layer in the bureaucracy. So if you look at the budget of the arm, most of it goes to personnel, to payment of salaries, and yet, the socio-economic indicators of all the provinces have gone down, but no one has been prosecuted. And remember when they were trying to remove Miswari from the armed governorship, they were talking about a lot of money that was lost, and they were accusing Nur Miswari of committing corruption, and yet they never filed a case against Miswari.
So how would you want this new President Aquino to deal with a problem like that in the past that somehow was not delivered? How would you want him to do it?
Well, if you send a message, if you start prosecuting some of the political leader, in sitting political leader, it will change the way arm is run. It will change the way the other provinces are run. Because if some of the provinces in the arm, they're very blatant in violating the laws, like just remitting the GSIS shares of the employees. They don't do that, and it's a clear violation of the GSIS law. But the problem is GSIS do not go after these LGUs. So you must ask why. You must ask why.
Okay.